We're gonna get the party going. Okay, everybody. So welcome to our 30-minute total body strength workout. My name is Lana. Most of you guys have been on a class with me either in real life or virtually over the past, 10, 15 years. Obviously, it's kind of nice to be able to do Zoom classes because no matter where you are in the world, you can join me and we can work out together. So we're going to get started in the low back release portion of our class today, and we're going to start on our hands and knees. All right, so we'll take our hands right underneath our shoulders, our knees right underneath our hips, and we're going to start with an inhale, and we'll drop our belly down like that cow part of the cat-cow. Then we're going to exhale. We'll tuck your tailbone up and arch, look towards your belly button like a Halloween cat, and then you're going to inhale, drop that belly down. You might feel a nice stretch on the front of your abdominals. Then exhale, tuck the tailbone, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Let's do this 2 more times. So inhale, drop the belly, spread the sit bones, spread the chest and collarbones. Then exhale, tuck the tailbone, articulating one vertebrae at a time as you go up. Then inhale, drop that belly down, spread the sit bones, open through the collarbones, nice and slow. Then exhale, tuck the tailbone, arching all the way up. Now we're going to stop about halfway between those 2 positions in that neutral spine. You're going to walk your hands over to one side like you're a dog trying to find your tail. So you should feel a really nice stretch on the side of your torso. Let's switch over to the other side. I'm getting a nice stretch right down the side of my torso as I do this. You might even feel a deep stretch into your low back. You're just going to walk those hands from one side to the other, helping to add some space into the torso. Let's do 2 more. This is one of my favorite low back release moves. Going over to the other side. All right, so let's come back to that hands and knees position. We're going to take one arm, reach it up, rotate through the torso, and then switch over to the other side. Reach it up as if there's a tubing hanging down from the ceiling and you're reaching up with that hand to grab onto that tube. Press your other hand into the ground. So even though we're doing a low back release series, if we have tension in the upper back, it can definitely increase tension in the low back. So adding a little bit more mobility to that upper spine. Let's do 1 more on each side. Okie dokie. So stay on your hands and knees here. You're going to take one leg out to the side, just like so. So I'm still in that quadruped position. I've just got one leg extended. Now I'm going to start to rock my butt back towards my heel. So I'm not rounding through my back very much. I'm getting a really nice pull on my inner thigh as I go back and forward, back and forward. So we're starting to move into the portion of this low back release series where we start to release some of the muscles that can be causing tension around the pelvis and thus causing tension in the low back. Let's do 2 more on this side, this adductor rock back, and then you're going to switch over to your other side. So you're still on your hands and knees, leg goes out to the side, and you're rocking back and forward. I did a really big mountain bike ride yesterday, and so I can feel those inner thighs. You should be feeling that pull kind of from your knee to the inside of your pelvis. Rocking forward and back. So lots of these moves that we're doing, we're getting rid of some of the ambient tension that's just going to be present in your hips and your upper back, so that when we go do our strength training, our deepest core muscles can load properly, and we're going to be creating strength instead of creating more tension on top of tension. Let's release this stretch. So I'd like you to come into a half kneeling position. So let's take 1 foot forward like this. Now you're going to take the back leg and you're going to bring it in a little bit. Yeah. Now you can have your hands on your hips and you're going to imagine that there is like a pen on the bottom of your pelvis and you're drawing a big circle with that pen on the ground below your pelvis. Okay? We're getting into the hip flexor, into the hip muscles, into the hip joint, and let's say on the same side but switch directions. So drawing that big circle with the pen on the bottom of your pelvis. Oh, this one feels good. Couple more, and then we will switch to the other side. All right, so other foot goes in front into that half kneeling position. The leg that's behind you is just going to come in just a little bit for some more support. Hands can stay on the hips. And you're gonna start drawing that big circle. Yes. Big circle. Getting a nice stretch and opening through the front of the hip flexor, maybe even through the inner thigh on the leg that's in front of you. And let's go in the other direction. So hopefully if you came into this class with any tension in your low back, hopefully it's starting to feel like it's releasing a little bit, like things are letting go. Still got a couple more moves to do in our low back release warm up. So let's stop this movement. We're gonna come down onto our sides. This is one of my faves. So I'm stacking my knees and my feet and my hips together, and my hands are out in front of me, and I'm resting my head down. This is to release through the upper back and the chest. So I'm gonna take the hand that's on top, and I'm gonna draw a big circle over the top of my head, getting a nice stretch out through the chest and the shoulder and the upper back, and then I'm gonna trace that hand across the floor to bring it back. We'll do 2 more on this side. So kind of slow and steady, really reaching those fingers up. If they need to come off the floor, that's totally fine. It's gonna depend on the tension and range of motion in your chest and your shoulder. Let's do 1 more on this side. Trace those fingers in that half moon position over the top of the head. Stretch the arms out and then come on back. Okay, switch over to your other side. So just roll right over. I'm gonna move this way so you can still see me from the front. Stacking those hands, resting the head, stacking the feet, the hips and knees. You're gonna open, trace that half moon over the top of your head. So like I said before, if there's lots of tension in the upper back, that can definitely affect how things feel down the kinetic chain of your spine. We're going to take 1 more side lying half moon on this exercise. Oh yeah. Trace that hand back over. Okay, so we're going to stay on our back here for a sec, and we're going to do a little hamstring activation. So lots of times if we get those hamstrings to activate, they're going to pull our pelvis into a more optimal position, and then it can take some of the tension off of that low back, okay? So you're lying on your back, your feet are pushing into the ground. Now I'm going to lift my bum up towards the ceiling, just like you would in a normal hip lift. But I want you to imagine pulling your heels towards your butt. So if I could imagine there was like a string that was connecting my heel to my butt, and it was tightening. My heels were pulling towards my butt, almost as if like I could drag my heel across the ground like that. That's the action that I want, okay? So let's walk our feet out just a little bit more. Okay, and I still want you to think of that pulling across the ground action. Your bum doesn't have to be very high. You're probably feeling your hamstrings, maybe even a little hamstring cramp. If they're cramping, let go, put your butt down, and then try it again. I'm pulling my heels towards my butt. I feel lots of load into the backs of my legs where my hamstrings are. That's what I want to feel here, okay? Dragging those heels. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's take a rest. And we're going to do our last move in our low back release series before we get into the sweaty stuff. So hands go underneath shoulders. We're going to come up into a straight arm plank here, okay? At any time you can go from your knees if you like, if that feels better on your back. So into your straight arm plank from the toes or from the knees. Hands are under the shoulders. Press the floor away. Now, with an inhale, I want you to send your bum back like you're going into a downward facing dog. Then with an exhale, I want you to return your shoulders right over top of your hands. Inhale, come all the way back to that downward facing dog. Then exhale, gather up those abdominals, pull your belly button up towards your throat, pull your hip bones together on the front. Let's do 2 more. Inhale as you come back, maybe get a little hamstring stretch. Exhale as you come into that high plank, gathering up all those abdominals, pressing away from the floor. 1 more time. Inhale back, and then exhale, come forward. So let's lift up one leg here. We're gonna swoop that leg through for our pigeon pose. I'm gonna give you an option if this feels uncomfortable for your knees. So as you can see, I've brought one leg through, and I've got this shin bent. I'm gonna rest in this position. If this doesn't feel good for your knee, your option is to go on your back, like so, okay? So we're gonna add a little bit of movement here. to this pigeon so we can get a little release in our deep hips. This is going to help release that low back. So I'm going to imagine that my hips are kind of like a typewriter. They're going to go back and forth across the front. So I'm going back and forth across the front. This should feel really, really nice in the outside of your butt, getting a nice release into the hip there. So some of these deep hip muscles directly insert into your pelvic floor. They're fascially connected. So if there's lots of tension here, then it's harder for those pelvic floor muscles to contract and release as they should. So we're just going side to side here. Now, we're going to come back up to that high plank. If you're on your back, you can just switch to your other leg. And let's switch and bring our other leg through into our pigeon on the other side. So feeling a nice stretch on the side of our hips. If this is not enough tension, you can absolutely go down to your forearms. So you've got the move, you're feeling the stretch in the side of your hip, and you're just rocking your hips side to side, okay? If the rocking side to side is really painful on your knee, try going onto your back. If you're on your back doing that figure 4 stretch, still try rocking side to side, almost like you're going from one side of your low back to the other. It's a great way to dynamically get that hip to release, and it's going to be super helpful in our first exercise, which is coming up in about 2 seconds here. Okay, so let's make our way up to standing. If you need a quick sip of water, you can grab it. You're going to need to get your dumbbells handy. Da-da-da. Nice. Why, hello everybody. Okay, so get your dumbbells handy. Hopefully you're feeling nice and lubricated through your spine. We're going to start off with a side lunge. So we've got 2 exercises that we'll do back to back. Every round, I'm going to give you options to make these a little more spicy, okay? So I've got my dumbbells in my hand. We're going to take 8 side lunges on each side. Come with me. So take a big step to the side. Dumbbells reach down towards your knee, and then stand together. Let's switch to the other side. Side lunge and stand together. So this is our base move. You can come back to this move at any time that you want. All right, we've got 10 more altogether because we're doing 16 altogether, 8 on each side. Good, good. So I'm pushing my heel into the ground. I'm pulling my hips back slightly. Nice. I'm feeling some load onto my inner thighs as I do this side lunge. The heart rate's going to start getting up here pretty quickly. You got it, guys. Send those hips over to the side. Keep going. Little lateral hip shift. Quads, glutes, hamstrings, inner thighs. 3 more on each side, please, and thank you. Remember, if you're going a little slower or a little faster, that's totally cool. Awesome. So this move, you can come back to this move anytime that you want, this side lunge, once we get into the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Now keep your dumbbells. We're going to set up a kickstand deadlift. So I'm going to put my left foot in front. That's going to be my deadlifting leg. And my right foot is behind me, just like a kickstand, okay? So it looks kind of like this. I'm going to hinge at my hips. My dumbbells are really close to my legs, okay? They're not reaching out here. I'm going to squeeze using my left butt and hamstring to stand up. We'll do 8 of those on each leg, really pushing my big toe of my left foot into the floor. My right foot, that kickstand, is pretty light on the ground. Like maybe 10 or 15% of my body weight is on that right foot. My big toe on the left and my heel on the left are really pushing into the ground. I'm feeling that stretch through my glute and then standing all the way up. All the way to that 8th repetition. Remember, this is your base move for this exercise. It'll get harder and we'll switch to the other side, okay? So right foot goes onto the ground. Left toe is the kickstand. It's just there for support. And then we're going to hinge at our hips, push the right big toe into the ground this time, okay? Hinging and pressing. So when I say hinge, what I mean is I'm pulling my hips to the back, pushing my big toe into the floor, and feeling a nice pull through that right hamstring, that right glute, and then I'm squeezing them as I stand back up. Great option for progressing to the single leg deadlift is the kickstand deadlift. All the way to that 8th rep, guys. Let's take 2 more. Woo! Okay, so we are in round 2 of side lunges. I'm going to give you an option to add a bicep curl after each side lunge, okay? Here we go. So we're going to side lunge, stand together and curl. Then side lunge on your other side. Yes. So we're still going to do 8 reps on each side. Yes, that works out to 16 bicep curls. Looking good. We got 12 to go. Lateral hip shift, stand tall. Nice work. Legs, arms, core, 10 left. Beautiful. Try not to lean forward too much as you do this. So our chest is somewhat lifted as we do our side lunge. I'm not totally collapsing forward. Looks like that. So my hips are still coming out to the back, but my chest is somewhat lifted here, okay? Keep going, guys. Woo! Let's take 4 more. Side lunge and curl. Remember, if the weights are too heavy, you can absolutely drop them down as you like. If the weights are too light, oh, I got something spicy coming for you in the 3rd round. Okay, so keep hold of those dumbbells, set up your deadlift, your kickstand deadlift again. We're gonna add a row at the bottom of this deadlift. So left foot goes on the ground, right foot is the kickstand. I'm hinging at my hips. I'm gonna row at the bottom, and I'm gonna stand all the way up. All right, give me 8. Deadlift, row at the bottom, push that left big toe into the ground. Great way to connect to that pelvic floor. So a little bit more work for the torso, for the core, when we stay down here and do this mid back row. So my elbows are coming pretty close to my torso. Big toe and heel pushing into the ground. Yes. All the way to that 8th rep. And anytime if the weights are too heavy or it doesn't feel good, then you get rid of the row and you keep the kickstand deadlift as our base move. Woo! Finish off this left side, and then we're going to switch it up to your right. So right foot goes on the ground, left foot is the kickstand, little tiny bit of weight into that left foot. Hinge, pull your hips back, row at the bottom, press your right big toe and heel into the ground as you stand up. Yes, indeedy. So this is one of the reasons why I like to do that low back release series to start, because then when we go to do our deadlift, hopefully you're feeling your hamstrings quite a bit after that low back release and hamstring activation that we did. Good job, guys. Finish off those 8 reps, all the way to 8. If you're super speedy and you're done already, hang tight. We got 1 more set of side lunges and kickstand deadlifts. If you're right here with me, finish off your 8th rep. Woo! And keep hold of those dumbbells. If you've got heavy weights, your arms are probably starting to get a bit tired. We got 1 more set of side lunges here. All right, so we're going to take our side lunge. We're going to bicep curl, and then our option is to do an overhead shoulder press, okay? And then release that curl. Then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Let's go. Give me 8 on each side. So side lunge, curl, and press. Then you can actually see my full press. Side lunge, curl, and press. Good job. 14 left. Woo! Great work. So the more muscles that we get active, the higher our heart rate's going to get, right? Because our body needs to return some oxygenated blood to all of those working muscles. Yes, it's strength training, but yes, we're getting that heart rate up too. Get the sweat flowing. The curl and the press are optional, right? We can always just stick with the side lunge. Keep moving, guys. You got this. All the way to 16 reps, which is 8 on each side. Beautiful. So this is your last round of side lunges here. Last round of side lunges, all the way to 16. We're doing 3 rounds of each exercise, adding moves to each exercise as we go to make it a little bit more total body, okay? Keep it up, guys. Almost there. Let's take 6 more side lunge and curls total. Yes. Woo. Side lunge, stand tall for your curl and press. Good job, guys. If you have finished your side lunge, curl, and press, hang tight, grab a sip of water, because I'm going to show you your next option for the kickstand deadlift. It's a good core stability move. Okay. Woo. Goodbye side lunges. Let's get set up for that kickstand deadlift. Remember, if you just want to work the kickstand, that's a great option. Let's start with that left foot down. Right toe is your kickstand. We're going to hinge. We're going to take our row. We'll stand all the way up. Now bring that right knee through to a march. So a little bit of balance. Then that right toe goes back down. Kickstand, deadlift with a row at the bottom. Push the hips through. String pulls out through the top of your head and you march that leg up. Woo, balance. So we got 8 of these, guys. If this does not work for you, you can get rid of the row or the march anytime you want. It's just a great way to challenge those glutes at the top of the move. So when you're doing your march, make sure you're standing nice and tall. So your butt's not back here. Your hips are all the way through as you march that right leg, that right knee through. Yes. I hope you are sweaty, because I certainly am. Hinging at the hip. Row the dumbbells. Press the big toe into the ground and march. Woo! Slow and steady. Getting those hips and deep core muscles to fire as we drive that knee up. Let's take 2 more on this side and then we'll switch it up. Woo! Last one on the left leg. Right knee march. Yes. Okay, so this time right foot goes down. Left toe is the kickstand. Let's hinge at our hip. Optional row at the bottom. Push your hips through. The left knee comes up into that march. Returns to the kickstand and deadlift again. Okay? So 3 kind of things going on here. Deadlift, row, stand up, and march. Yeah. Big toe pushes into the ground. Stand up and march. Woo! Deadlift, row. Big toe of that front leg pushes into the ground. String pulls through the top of your head. Now, as you stand up, I want you to keep that rib cage stacked right over the pelvis. Okay, we're not popping the ribs, not excessively rounding through the back. Woo! Great job, guys. A little bit more challenge for the glutes on this balancing leg. Keep it up all the way to 8 reps. Deadlift, row, and march. Finish off this kickstand deadlift with a row and a march all the way to 8 reps. Got a couple more. Woo! And then we are kissing these dumbbells goodbye. We've been holding them for a while. Okay, drop your dumbbells down. If you need to grab a drink of water, now would be a really great time. You're going to need your mini band and to get down onto your mat for our next series of moves. So let's get our mini band on. I'd like you to put the mini band right above your knees. Okay, so not right below the knees, but right above the knees for this move. We're going to follow a similar strategy. So we're going to do 2 exercises back to back 3 times. We're just going to add some layers on as we go through. Okay, so the band is above your knees. You're going to come onto your back, put your feet onto the floor just like you did in your hip lift in the warm-up. You're going to kind of push your knees out to the side. Okay, we're going to lift our hips up. Imagine you're pulling those heels towards your butt. And then we're going to lower. We're just going to do this 8 times. It's going to feel super easy. until we get to round 2 and 3. So lifting up, pulling those heels towards your butt, all the way to 8 reps. I'm actively pulling my heels towards my butt. That's gonna get those hamstrings to turn on. It's gonna help those glutes to engage. It's gonna take some of the work out of your low back and put it into your legs, all the way to 8 repetitions. Try to lift with your pelvis instead of lifting with your belly button or your rib cage, okay? Once you finish that 8th repetition, you're gonna roll over to your side and set yourself up for a side plank, okay? Lots of options here. Elbow goes underneath shoulder. You can go from your knees or you can go from your toes. We're gonna hold for 30 seconds, all right? Let us go. So lift that top arm up. Now, I want you to think, take that top hip and roll it forward a little bit, okay? As if I was gonna roll your hips towards the ground slightly. You're gonna feel those underside obliques work a little bit more. Keep reaching and breathing, pressing that forearm into the ground, growing up nice and tall. Keep breathing and relaxing the shoulders for 3, 2, and 1. Switch to your other side. We're keeping the mini band on for this exercise so that we don't have to take it off a million times, but it's gonna come in handy on the next round. So set yourself up, maybe in your knees are bent, maybe you are going from your toes, reach up, press away from the floor, take that top hip, roll it over. Yes, all of this form stuff counts in terms of our 30-second hold here. So you should be feeling work on the underside of your obliques here. So imagine there's a water balloon squeezing in your armpit. A great way to get active through your shoulder. Reach, reach, reach. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, onto your back. Keep that mini band on. We're gonna add a layer to our hip lift, okay? So get those heels into the ground. Imagine they're pulling towards your butt, okay? Hips go up. Heels are pulling towards the butt. You're gonna drop your hips. You're gonna lift. You're gonna open your knees apart without letting your bum come closer to the ground and close. Let's do 8 of these. So we're gonna drop, lift, stay up, open, and close. Drop, lift, open, and close. Now, if you do a huge, huge open, you're gonna feel the band probably roll up towards your hips, and you're gonna feel your bum drop down closer to the ground. I'd rather you keep your hips lifted and do a smaller open and close than doing a really big open and close and having your bum drop closer to the ground. You're still thinking about pulling those heels towards your butt, okay? Go slower than you think that you should on this one. We got a couple more reps, and then we're going into side plank round 2. Woo! Nice work. You got this, guys. Lower and lift, then open and close. Okay. Make your way to your side plank. Pick a side, any side. You can go from your knees or from your toes on this one. We're gonna add a side leg lift. We're gonna do this for 8 reps. So if you don't want the side leg lift, you can do a side plank hold and then switch to the other side on my cue. So I'll show you, you can go with your feet stacked or with your bottom leg bent. Either is totally fine. Set yourself up. You're gonna reach your top hand up towards the ceiling. Take that top hip, roll it forward a little bit. Okay, that's gonna make it harder. Yes, your underside hip is working. We're gonna lift and lower this leg 8 times. 8, push those hips forward and roll forward. 7, 6, this is very hard from the knees and very hard from the toes. We've got 4 more. Flex that heel. 3, don't collapse into your lower hip. 2, and last 1. Woo! Okay, switch over to your side plank on the other side. Deciding if you want to go from a knee or from toes. Toes are obviously going to be a little bit harder. I'd rather that you have a beautiful side plank position than trying to struggle in an option that's too tough for you. Take that top hip, roll it forward a little bit, reach the top arm up, flex your heel of the straight leg, lift and lower 8 times. 7, so as you lower that leg, don't let the band just pull it straight down. Control the movement. You've got 5, 4, hello, lateral hips, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, onto your back. Final set of your hip lift with abduction, we're gonna add a little mini hold at the top of this one, okay? So heels dig into ground. They're pulling towards your bum, like you're dragging them on the floor towards your hips. That's how you're gonna get those hamstrings to work. So let's lower our hips, lift, little open and little close, hold for 3, 2, 1. Let's lower down, lift up, open, close, and hold. 3, 2, 1. 6 more. Lower down, lift up, open, close, hold, pull, pull, pull the heels towards your butt. Try it again. Lower, lift, open, close, pull, pull, pull the heels towards the butt as the hips stay lifted. 4 left. Lower, lift, open, close, hold, pull the heels, drag them, and down. 3 more. Lower, lift, open, close, pull, pull, pull those heels. Hold, hold, hold. 2 more. Lower, lift, open, close, drag the heels. They're obviously not moving anywhere. It's just the action that we're feeling. Last one. Lower, lift, open, close. Stay up by lifting the pelvis, not by lifting the belly button. Drag the heels. Drag, drag, drag them towards your bum. And release. Whew. Hello, glutes and hamstrings. Now keep this mini band on. We've got one more set of side plank here before we're all done. So at any time you can go back to a side plank hold or the side plank leg lift. Go from your knees or from your toes on this one. We're gonna hold our top arm back as our leg goes forward, and then we're gonna switch. Okay, that's 1 rep. We're gonna do 8. This can be done from the knees or from the toes. It's tough, so choose a position that you can hold really strongly, okay? So take your top leg back and your top arm forward, and then switch. That's 1. Top arm forward, top leg back, and switch, that's 2. Don't collapse into the hip that is down towards the floor. Woo! Stay strong. Press that forearm into the ground. You're so close. Grow, 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 nice and tall. Almost there. Take 2 more and switch. Last 1 and switch. So you should feel a lot more work on those underside obliques, plus the lateral hips are still working when the leg swings forward and back, both sides of the hips. Okay, forearm into the ground, grow really tall. Decide if you're going from your knees or from your toes. Get on up there, roll that top hip forward, reach the top arm up. Let's take the arm forward and the leg back. And switch, good, that's 1. And switch, that's 2. You can see I'm not going really fast. That's on purpose. There's 4. Nice work, guys. This is your last exercise. Grow away from the ground. Keep going. Woo. So close. Last 2. Last 1. Pull those hips up and take a rest. Okay, get your mini band off and you're gonna make your way into a child's pose on the mat here. So I'm gonna spread my knees nice and wide, so they're kind of at the edges of the mat. My hips are gonna come back. I'm gonna reach my fingers forward and I'm gonna let my chest fall down. I'm taking big deep breaths into the undersides of my armpits here. And I'm gonna tent up onto my fingers like Spider-Man, okay? I'm gonna walk both my hands over to one side, get a really nice stretch through the underside of my armpit. And then I'm gonna walk my fingers over to the other side. Get that really nice stretch through the underside of my armpit. All right, one more move for today. Come onto your belly. If lying on your belly doesn't work right now, you can do this on your side. We're going to stretch our quads. So reach for your foot. If you need to grab shoelaces or use your mini band around your foot, that's a great way to do this. Rest your forehead against the back of your hand and push your hip flexor into the mat to get a really nice stretch through the front of your quadricep. Relax those muscles of the hips. And release, we'll switch to the other side. So forehead rests against the back of your hand. thinking of pulling your heel towards your bum. It doesn't matter if it doesn't touch. Take a nice, big, deep breath, pushing that hip flexor into the mat. And you are all finished. Nice work, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today.